Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to be doing something a bit interesting. We're taking Howard the Duck to rank 4. So after finishing variant 3, exploring it 100%, I did get 2 of the kind of like worst class gems I could possibly get, and I got 2 Tech 2015 to 2016 rank 3 to 4 gems, and I don't really have anybody to use them on. I could pick in between Civil Warrior, Iron Man, Iron Patriot, and Howard the Duck, and those were pretty much my options. So for this video, we're going with Howard the Duck, because he is a bit quirky champion. He's not kind of like the best champion by any means in the game, but I do like the fact that he has some quirky mechanics and that he can ramp himself up, and it often is not the most practical thing or solution, but it is fun. His heavy attack is really fun, the way he runs in at opponent, and the fact that he can build up his furies. And also, obviously, as long as there is Howard the Duck on the screen, it's definitely worth mentioning a Swedish channel, channel. He has this guy at a rank 5 as a 5-star, and he does some really crazy stuff with his Howard the Duck. I will leave his channel link in the video description below. Definitely go check him out. He has done some insane fights, including like Labyrinth of Legends X23 solo with Howard the Duck, and that Rogue solo in Polar Opposite variant, and a lot of other interesting stuff. So yeah, Howard the Duck can actually hit insanely hard once you ramp him up. The problem is that it's really RNG reliant, and that ramp up usually does take a lot of time, in fact. But here we go. So our Howard the Duck is at 455. We're not going to be ranking him up any further, and we're going to go check him out. My Howard the Duck is at 600. So it's halfway there, it's not too bad. And we're going to check out a couple of fights with this little guy to see what he can do. And besides Howard the Duck's own abilities, he has a few redeeming qualities in his stats and so on. So he's a large champion, so he's fairly good to use in variant 2. He's a tech champion, so he's fairly good to use in variant 3 as well. But so first, we're going to start off with this Realm of Legends Winter Soldier fight. So I'm definitely nowhere near as good as playing this guy as Swede is, because he has this guy down to a T. But the base point is you kind of want to spam as many heavy attacks as you can, and do it repeatedly, just to kind of inflate your hit counter, and that also means you can inflate the number of furies you have on yourself, and that means you can hit exponentially harder. I am running like Suicide Masteries, I'm running Nick Fury synergy with Gold Pool and Quake to get those away charges, and so on. So I can be a bit more loose with my heavy attacks, even though sometimes some of them are risky and he could potentially interrupt me. Now, one thing that I immediately started liking with Howard the Duck is that it's extremely easy to chain your special 2 in your heavy attack, just because that heavy attack has like multiple hits, and the opponent can be stunned for long enough for you to chain into your special attack. But as we can see here now, slowly but surely we are starting to gain some fury buffs. We're at 4 furies now, and we're hoping to get as many as we can. Also, every time we launch our level 2, the kind of like biggest hope for us to get is a power lock, because that means we will be able to spam more heavy attacks in a row against this guy and amp up our furies even quicker. So once again, hit counter on this guy is fairly misleading, just because his heavy attack is like 5 hits, I believe, and his special 2 is also multi-hit, so everything you do kind of results in hugely inflated hit counter. But at this point we have 10 furies on this little guy, and we can see that we're starting to deal some more or less decent damage. So now we have like a nice level 2. Once again, he's power locked. We just need to bait out this level 1 and keep at it. So 140 hits in. So as I mentioned before, he definitely is a ramp up champion that has an inflated hit counter. Not necessarily the best kind of like judgment of the fight length is the number of hits in this case, because yeah, we can see that we're spamming many hits with our level 2, we're spamming many hits with our heavy attack, and so the fight is not actually kind of like as long and as tedious as it might seem initially watching it. Also, it is great amount of fun. He's not the best champion, he's not the quickest killer, but so long as your sound is on mute, so long as you do not have to listen to Howard the Duck kind of animation sounds when he gets hit or when he hits opponents, you're having a fairly good time playing this character. That is the number 1 requirement, though, that sound has to be off when you're using Howard the Duck, because otherwise it's just nightmare for your eardrums, at least for me. I don't know, maybe there's somebody who likes the sound Howard makes whenever he fights, but for now we can see that we're 230 hits in. We have 12 Furies on us, so it's slowly but surely getting there. Our hits are starting to do some more decent damage, and that is like the biggest drawback of Howard the Duck. I think that the ramp up does take quite a while, and those Furies do fall off, so you do need to stay aggressive in order to maintain a decent amount of Furies. Obviously I am taking some recoil damage as well, but it's just the price you pay using suicides. So Howard the Duck overall I wouldn't say is the most suicide friendly champion, so do keep that in mind. But still, just for like these showcase videos, I didn't feel like changing my mastery setup. But now we can see that Winter Soldier is at 27%. We are also below 60%, I believe, when is his first awakened ability activates, and this time instead of regen we gained Thunderquack, which dealt some nice damage to Winter Soldier as well, so that often helps. But yeah, now 16 Furies, and we're starting to pound at this guy a bit more heavily. Do keep in mind that whenever he shoots his heavy attack, it's multi-hit heavy attack, so it does not show any of the big numbers as it would be if it was a single hit heavy attack. But it is better for Howard the Duck to have this like 5-hit heavy attack, just because that gives us more chances to build up those Fury buffs. So now we're at 19 Furies, 20 Furies in before the fight is finishing off, so not bad at all. And we can see that each heavy attack does do some decent amount of damage to this guy, which is going to finish him off with an 8k plus medium crit, which isn't bad at all. When you look at hit counter though, it's quite dreadful. 380 hits to take down Winter Soldier. That's a lot of hits. And now this is a random fight in Variant 3, just to show that he at rank 4 is capable of dealing with some of the Variant 3 opponents and their health pools. Now obviously he starts the fight out always fairly slowly. The one thing I will not be showcasing, but it is definitely worth talking about, that he starts the fight each and every fight with 8 armor buffs on him, and that makes him an excellent Havoc matchup, because you basically do not have to worry about Havoc's plasma detonations whatsoever at all. But yeah, so back to this fight. As we can see, 34 hits in. RNG isn't on our side. We haven't really gotten a single Fury buff on us, so we're still operating at like our base damage output. But opponent is power locked, and that means we can spam a lot of heavy attacks while he is against the wall, and it is fun. It is definitely a fun thing to do. I can understand why Sweden likes playing this guy. For me personally, I do not necessarily think he's worth all the ramp up. I'd like a bit more utility, but still, it's definitely great time using this character, because yeah, it's just interesting. It's something different. It will not be a champion like kind of I ever rely on in clearing my quests and doing my fights regularly, but for the sake of some fun and interesting videos, and for the sake of just kind of like goofing off in the game a bit, it's definitely kind of like worthwhile investment of that rank 3 to 4 tech rank up gem, because I just didn't have any great targets. Now I have another one to use, which I have to basically pick in between Civil Warrior or Iron Patriot. I have not yet decided which one of those two is gonna go up next, but stay tuned for that video, because I'll probably make it happen sometime soon as well. But yeah, so here we can definitely see that 150 hits in, we have 5 Furies on us, and he's nearly down. So it's not the worst fight, because as I say before, his hit counter is inflated definitely by a lot, just because of how many hits the heavy attack and level 2 is. But still, we managed to get this vulture down without any hiccups. We did ramp up some of our Furies, so it's a decent time overall. And now we're going to check out Howard the Duck in Variant 2, because he's a large champion, which means our light and medium attacks can get glanced, but our heavy and special attacks cannot. Since Howard the Duck largely spams heavy attacks anyways, it is fairly decent time. And obviously Breakthrough Node in this particular fight is going to make sure that our damage is going to ramp up fairly substantially. But yeah, anyways, so let me know what you guys think about Howard the Duck. Who did you guys pick with your 2015-2016 rank up gems? Obviously there is like an Ultron, which would be a better option, but I ranked him up already with my 2015 rank up gem. So yeah, for me it was literally in between Iron Patriot, Iron Man, Howard the Duck, and Civil Warrior. Which one of the 3 remaining champions you would like to see on my account as a rank 4 champion? Iron Man, Iron Patriot, or Civil Warrior? But that will be about it for today's video. Once again, do not forget to check out Swedish channel for some more insane Howard the Duck gameplay to actually see how capable this little duck can be in some long fights. But yeah, that's me done today. Don't forget to hit that like button, sub button, hit all the buttons, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. Laters.